much tempted to jump the line and hit someone midair? That's a really good question.
You are, in fact, yeah. As long as you're going to get out once you hit the ground.
Yeah, once your feet hit the ground.
But yeah, as long as you're still in the air and you let the ball go, it does count.
Yep. All right, Kevin Harder right off the rush there, taking out Josh Schmidt. Schmidt going down to 5 on Vengeance side. Thanks everybody for the shout outs. I really appreciate it. You guys have been so much fun. And really it was a little bit overwhelming to find out that I was talking to almost 10,000 people, but
that's more than I talked to on the radio.
Almost all 10,000 of you have been wonderful. So it's been so great, and I've had such a fun time. You make my job so much fun. Spectators have any clue they're on Twitch? Probably not. At first I mentioned it to a few of them, but the spectators have grown in number, and it's not my job to stop people from doing stupid things on the internet, so hopefully they know that they're on there. Number 92, Rob. I cannot remember his last name at the moment, and I can't see the back of his jersey, but he's also been excellent. I feel like in the last game against Impact, Rob really had a few clutch plays that turned the game around.
I've played a few games against him, and he's a frustrating player to play against.
Mm-hmm.
He's hard to hit. You always think you have him, and then you miss him, and it's
Yep. So for those of you just joining us, hit me up if you need a rundown of the rules. A question about what was that countdown. You get 10 seconds to make a play. So there's a team that has the burden. John McKenzie with that amazing block again. Offensive burden is on the team with the ref who's got his hand pointing to them. They have 10 seconds for a play to be made. They have to make a play by putting the ball across the court, that middle line, into play. It can be 1 ball, it can be 5 balls. And if the opposing team, the defensive team, makes a play, that resets the clock as well. If they do not make a play in that 10 seconds, all of their balls go to the other side, and they're left kind of defenseless.
Oko steps out. Some players are playing very far back today, which can be dangerous, but it's got benefits both ways, I guess.
Yeah, lots of lineouts. We've seen lots of lineouts today. Stepping on the line, of course, then you're out. A cross-court shot by my pick for MVP this tournament, Eric McEwen.
Yeah, he's been fantastic. That was beautiful accuracy right there.
Came out of nowhere from behind John McKenzie and made Sean Oko pay for it.
When you catch people with those surprise throws, the thing is you have to be accurate, right?
Yeah.
And he just did that right there. You know, there's no point in surprising someone if you can't get it on target.
Question about how many players are on a team total. 6 on court at any given time, and rosters can be up to 12.
Yeah.
So up to 12 players.
I think most teams probably cap it at about 9 nowadays.
Yep.
Because you want to get into a rhythm. You don't want to be sitting off too often. You want your players playing. And if you have 12 players, basically you're almost switching off every round, every second round, right?
Yep. And at this level of play, these players are training hard, and they're training to be in good shape to be able to stay on court for long periods of time. You almost don't want to come off court. You want to stay on as long as you can. Make sure that you're in your flow. McEwen there waited for Rob Chrysalis to make that play on retro, committed to his dodge, and then McEwen followed it up, and the accuracy was on point, and that retro player had no chance.
Yeah, I think McEwen, I think the selection committee will be taking a long look at him.
I agree. Yeah. McEwen pushing Sharma back from the line there. 4 balls here now on Vengeance side, so they're going to be on the burden to make a play. Straight ahead at Sharma, that waterfall play.
Harder connects.
Off Chrysalis' face.
Yeah, Harder is always throwing pretty high, actually, so if you don't want to take one of his in the face.
They're looking at McEwen, trying to get that hit. McEwen getting down behind his ball. Harder looking for a counter. McEwen trying to connect with Sharma, but it hits the ground first. Lots of balls being thrown, nothing really happening yet. Vengeance calling a timeout, giving Eric McEwen a second to catch his breath. Think about how amazingly he's doing, I hope.
He's just going to think about himself the whole time.
I would. No matter how.
I thought we were just supposed to think about Jordan Ferris.
Think of England. No matter how this game turns out for Vengeance, I would imagine that if you were Eric McEwen, you would go home today feeling pretty darn amazing about what you did on court.
This is still the first round. This has been a
really,
long
really
one.
Great.
They both want it. They both want the bronze. You can see it, and they're playing all out here.
And selection committee who puts together the teams that will represent us in nationals are watching this game very carefully to see how players perform under pressure. So we know that this is those players that want to make this team. This is important. Connects with Harder. McEwen brings it to a 1v1 with, surprise to nobody, Sharma.
Just beautiful accuracy.
And Sharma.
Sharma connects. And then McEwen's just really getting them in the legs. He's getting those toe tappers, and he's putting some heat on it.
Absolutely.
It's and at this point in a tournament, that kind of accuracy is rare.
So you got to remember at this point, these guys on Vengeance and on Retro, they've played three 30-minute. Well, this is their third of 3 30-minute games straight. So they're on. They've got a full hour with no breaks of dodgeball behind them, and they're into the second hour of dodgeball straight. So the fact that they're still able to put up this kind of aggressive play really shows the dedication that they put into making sure that they are ready to get out here on the court.
And Manitoba provincial athletes have gotten so much better at that, at those long haul tournaments. When we first started playing in long tournaments here in Winnipeg, our arms were done usually within an hour. But you just kind of have to train yourself, and almost everybody in this province who plays in provincials has done so. They really get to the point where they can keep throwing those hard bombs even late in a tournament.
Yep. Pressing up to the line, Kyle Carrier, a.k.a. Treebeard, looking for... I think he was looking for a Trudell there, but not able to connect. McEwen looking to cross court at Gatza, not connecting.
There's a trade between Sharma and Treebeard. Is that what we're calling him? Treebeard?
Treebeard, Kyle Carrier.
Kyle.
So for the first time in what seems like forever, Sharma's not going to be the last player on court for Retro unless he's got back in.
Third player out, never seen that before.
Parcells trying for a dodge there, not able to get his feet up high enough. Mackenzie getting out of the way of the one coming his way. A question in chat about how many points to win. These games are timed, so they'll be playing for 30 minutes. At the end of 30 minutes, the team with the most points will be the winner. So they'll play as many rounds as they have to in that 30 minutes. You'll see some faster games, some slower games. These two teams are very, very well matched. So we'll probably see games taking anywhere between 4 to 6 minutes each, let's say. I wouldn't be surprised for at the end of this, and somewhere between 5 to 7 rounds played. So the question of how long can a round last? I've seen rounds over 10 minutes.
Rare for them to go that long. Yep. They're typically about 5.
A cross court for McEwen once again, just deadly connects with, gets up, and he follows it up right onto Kevin Harder to shut down Retro and tie up the game at 1.
Evenly matched as we thought it would be.
So a question about where the announcer's sitting. We're kind of hiding behind all the fans. Hang on one sec. I'll rearrange myself. I'll get up, I'll lean forward, I'll give you a little wave, and you can see where we're at here once I get my gear all organized. So, little wave, that was me coming at you from the corner. We'll try to make ourselves a little bit more visible, but there's just a lot of folks in the gym here in front of us. So
Sharma out first. What's even more amazing about him always being last is that he also takes the pitch, and it's rare for you to last that long when you take the pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, thanks for asking. We are going to cover the rest of this tournament. So we're actually, for those of you who are just tuning in, we're almost at the end. We've been at it since 7:45 Pacific time, 9:45 Central time. And we are on to our second last game of the day. So myself and Matt will be with you till the end.
Vengeance looks like they're playing their first game of the tournament.
Yeah, they don't look tired at all.
Retro is showing a bit more fatigue. Oh, we got a catch.
Catch.
I spoke too soon.
Ferrer going for a catch, didn't quite make it. Right on his fingertips there. Additional camera angles, something that we've been asked a lot about this tournament. We're hoping to do that for next weekend. We've had such a great online turnout for viewership, and that gives us the opportunity to kind of increase what we're able to do here in terms of bringing on staff and making more cameras available. So yes, all things going according to plan. If you tune in next Saturday to watch the women's action, we should have some more camera angles available for you. Does catching a ball get you out like an American rule? Yes, it does. So if you catch the other player's ball, well, the player who threw it is out. Oh, nice block from Gareth there.
Well, it looks like he got hit.
Oh, and it was called a hit in the end. Looks like he's going off.
He's laboring something in his fingers, that's for sure.
So you are allowed to block a ball using the ball. Thanks for the question. And how are points scored? A point is scored when the other team eliminates all of the players in the opposing team. So what happens when you catch it and then it drops? You have to have control over the ball for it to be determined to be a catch, just kind of like in baseball. Yeah. If you have it in your hand, you bobble it and it comes out, then it's not really a catch. So if you've got control of the ball and then you put it down or you drop it on the ground to make a different play, that's fine. But if you're not demonstrably in control of the ball, it doesn't count as a catch.
As long as it's clear that when you put it down, you did it on purpose.
Yes, that you did it on purpose, exactly. Wow, nice shot there. Vengeance looking really hungry for this. Retro got 4 now, 4v2. Fans in the stands starting to get a little loud here. Costas has been on fire with his blocks today. Very, very difficult to hit him. And just showing again how difficult of a player he is to hit.
Here's the hairy attack.
So these games are strictly timed, yes. The clock will run even if timeout is called. The time actually runs through a timeout in this particular case. When the clock hits 15, you'll see a sudden death, and then we'll switch sides for halftime. At the end of it, the buzzer will go, and when the buzzer goes at the end of the game, there'll be one more overtime round, regardless of the score. So even if it doesn't change the outcome, they play the sudden death round. Costas connects with Sharma.
Oko takes out Costas. Good cross court from Oko. Caught Costas off guard there.
So some questions about the refs and what they do and cheating and stuff like that. So refs are counting down the shot clock, making sure that the plays are being made inside that 10-second. We've got some line refs. You can see them on the sides looking for people stepping on the lines, so they call them out. Also looking for hits and dirty blocks. So that would be where you try to block the ball with your ball, but instead it hits your finger or maybe hits your arm a little bit. Dodgeball as a sport, because it's so quick, very, very hard to referee, and therefore very much built around honesty of our players. The assumption is that if you are hit, you will go out. Of course, that doesn't always happen. But it's stressed and re-stressed over and over again at all levels of play with Dodgeball that honesty is the most important thing in this game. And in this game and the game that we see coming up, you'll see a lot of very honest players calling themselves out, calling their teammates out, and generally just trying to make sure that everybody's following the rules.
Well, Nate Gatza just made a catch, which is probably his first in about 10 years.
Beautiful catch from Nate. Perfect timing.
He is the first to admit that he is not known for his catching. And a beautiful throw to get out Costas.
Nate's feeling the fire
there you go.
He wants it.
That catch pumped him up.
So you can revive a player by catching a ball, yep. So if a ball is thrown and you catch it, the first player that went out on your team gets to come back in. So you'll see the players lining up at the back in the order that they went out, or you should anyway. And that way they know who comes back in if a ball is caught.
Right.
They have to come back in from the back line. If they step in from the sideline, they'll be called back out by the ref.
Another thing about the refs, one of their biggest jobs is the count. As you can see, if you look at the ref right now, he's counting in the other team because they typically, once you get ball control, you have about 10 seconds to throw a ball.
Yep.
And then once 5 seconds go by, they'll count you in. They'll start you down from 5.
McEwen again with a huge snipe from the corner throw. What happens if someone gets hit and refuses to go out? I don't know. It's never happened.
I've never seen that.
Bit of an argument with the ref, I guess. If you argue with the ref too much, they'll give you a yellow card or a red card. And if you get a red card, you'll be asked to leave the building, and your team will play short. You're not allowed to replace that player. Looking for McEwen and connecting Oko from the cross court.
No, I've never seen that happen. I've seen people argue hits, but I've never seen them refuse.
Yeah. I've seen some yellow cards. Quite a few yellow cards. I don't think I've ever seen a red card. It's never gotten to that point. Maybe one team one time that never bothered to come back.
I think every red card that I've seen was intentional.
Yeah.
Where the team just did it because they thought it would be funny.
What happens if a ball tears mid-throw? The play stops. If a ball tears, somebody just identifies it. We replace it with another ball.
Oh, and
McEwen
Oko
tasting the other end of that cross shot there.
And that is a specialty of Oko, is those cross-court shots, and people just don't see them coming.
Are we all in danger zone of being hit, or are we safely out of the way?
Are we?
Definitely in danger zone.
Oh, yeah.
But thank you for your concern. The good news is we're watching the game pretty closely.
We don't care about our bodies, but we do care about the equipment, I guess.
Yeah, and also somebody just brought me some spaghetti, so I'm a little concerned that my spaghetti might end up on the floor at some point. Maybe I'll just move it. I'm not going to have a chance to eat it for a while anyway.
I'm trying not to step in. Try not to step in it.
There was a question, is there a champion of dodgeball? I like that. So this is actually a nice catch from Don McKenzie. So the team that wins this will be representing Manitoba at nationals. So at our national tournament coming up. So I guess that'll be our champion team, if you will. The team that wins the national tournament largely will be what makes up Team Canada, which will participate at
which will
national tournament, WDBF.
Where is Worlds this year?
Oh, Worlds just happened in Cancun.
Yeah,
I'm not sure where it is coming up this year off the top of my head.
Oh, you know where it is? It's Scotland.
Scotland?
Yeah, which I thought was interesting because they don't actually have a team, but Britain definitely does. So.
Oh, faking Nate. Looking for a catch, not able to make it.
Close contest here, so.
A couple of really good questions. Sorry, guys, I'm trying my best to keep up with them. If two balls bounce off each other and hit each thrower, once they hit in midair, they're dead.
Yes.
And it happens surprisingly often. But I guess maybe not super surprising when you think that the two players are probably aiming at exactly the same spot. But quite often you see balls hit each other in midair and then they're dead balls. The guy in the middle of the court waving his arms is, yes, the referee. When he waves his arm in one direction or the other, that's the team who has the burden or the team who's expected to throw within that 10-second countdown.
3 ways that you have what they call the burden, as they say, is if you have more balls than the other team, you automatically do. If you have the same amount of balls on each side, but one team has more players, they have the burden. And then what's the third?
More players, more balls, or return shot. So if you have the same players and same balls,
then it's whoever won the last, or
whoever's the one player team will take the shot, and then if it's still even, then they have a return shot.
Yeah, right.
Burden at the beginning.
Whoever threw last. Yes, that's correct.
And burden it at the beginning of the match is determined by who won the last round. The winning team has the burden at the beginning of the match. Is it always played indoors? Mostly always. There are some outdoor leagues.
It's been known to happen on beaches.
Beach leagues. Yeah, those are more about drinking, less about competitive play, but you can drink
and indoors isn't about drinking?
Is there a limit to the number of rounds based on the time? No, the time runs out and that's how many rounds you get. So if it was a really uneven match, you wouldn't be completely out of line to see 18 rounds or so.
I believe we used to do provincials where it was basically in the round robin anyway. It was whoever, it was a best of 3. So whoever won 2 first was the winner, but we found that didn't really work because it didn't really give teams a chance to get in the rhythm. You drop 2 rounds and you typically you can't get back, obviously.
Yeah.
Or I think it was a best of 5. That's what it was.
Which Ontario cities are involved in this tournament? Nobody in this tournament from Ontario. This is Manitoba qualifiers. Ontario generally has a lot of very dominant teams in Canada for dodgeball. They have a lot of excellent players. And when you get to Team Canada, when it's actually put together, majority of the players tend to come from Ontario. We had our very own Julie McLaren from Manitoba. It's on Team Canada this year. Some players from Nova Scotia, some players from Prince Edward Island. So a couple players from Alberta. So a little bit of a spread, but vast majority tend to be Ontario players.
Ontario has been at this a lot longer, and they also have just a much bigger population density, so they have more to choose from, and so they still kind of dominate in a little bit, but Manitoba is catching up fast, and even they are the first to admit it. Manitoba took bronze in both the men's and women's nationals last year.
Question about who's the underdog. Vengeance in this game is
in
the
this game,
underdog, the lower seeded team. They had to beat one of the top, I would say top 2, maybe top 3 teams to even make it to this point in a massive upset. So the purple team Vengeance, they're the underdog here.
But as we noted in their first playoff game, they are not playing like they are underdogs, and we all agreed that this is going to be a very tightly contested game.
Yep, they want it. Retro wants it. They're playing. Both teams are playing like they really want it for sure. Can girls play too? Yep, women's qualifiers. This exact tournament for women happened at the same time except next Saturday. So check back to this stream for live commentary. If you liked listening to me commentate, you can come back and watch me play.
Hey, that's the girl that was talking.
Yeah, exactly. Can a single ball take out 2 players, or is it burned after the first hit? If a ball hits a player or a ball, it's still live. So if it bounces off a player's ball hits another player, they're all out. If at any point it gets caught, then of course they're not out. The person who threw it is. Ball is dead once it hits the ground or goes out of bounds.
All right, so this could be a big point for Retro coming up here if they can hang on. They got to play this smart because they are up against one of the MVPs of the tournament.
Yeah, absolutely.
As he's just proved right there.
Look at McEwen, they're getting out of the way. Question about what's happening next, our gold medal game, YWG versus Monstars. So if you think this is intense, which it is, this next game will have just the same level of intensity. I can definitely guarantee you that.
Good block.
Previous Worlds tournament, both men's and women's were taken by the USA. That was won by US. There's a question from one of our commenters there about who won the Worlds tournament.
And that was nice to see them win, actually. The men, I'm not sure about the women, but the men had not won. They had made it to the final many times, but that was their first victory. And we know a lot of the players that play on the American team, so, you know, we're all friendly, and it was nice to see them finally get the win.
Timeout called by Vengeance. They're going to take a minute to regroup and talk strategy a little bit. A couple of questions here. I'm going to try to get through them as fast as I can. Why would sometimes a player get hit and not go off the court? If they're hit, they are supposed to go off court. So if they don't go off court and they were hit, that's not a good thing.
People could possibly be confused by the blocking. I remember when my dad came to Nationals, he didn't understand that you were allowed to block with the ball, so he just kept on watching people, and he was like, oh, they're getting hit all the time. Why aren't they going off?
Yeah, that's right. So if you hit a ball with the ball, you can stay on. Is Emily playing next week? Yes, I am. Thank you for asking. Do teams warm up before the match? They do. In tournament play like this, there doesn't tend to be a lot of time in between games, so they don't really have a lot of time to cool down. Both of these teams have played 2 full half-hour games before this, so this is, we're getting into like their 3rd game in a row. By the end of this, they'll have played 90 minutes with no break, so they didn't need a warm-up.
Oh! Yeah, Sharma is making a case for himself as the MVP as well, I would say.
Sean Oko's looking good out there. Absolutely. 4-2 now for Retro.
So that was a huge point for Retro. They could just really work the clock now at this point, hopefully. But if on the flip side, Vengeance is really going to try and come out strong and trying to end this round quickly. So Retro is going to have to try and counter against that. If
Vengeance takes this point, basically anybody's game. If Vengeance doesn't take this point, it's going to be a real struggle for them to come back in a meaningful way and hope for the victory here. So the balls are foam. Was a question that we had there. There are rubber and cloth leagues as well, but WDBF, which is what we're playing as a part of here, is all foam. Are players forced to throw during the countdown? And if you don't, are you penalized? So if a play is...
You lose your balls.
Yeah. So that's a pretty big...
that sounded kind of
bold. You lose your balls. You have to, not only do you lose your balls, you have to give your balls to the other
give your
team.
balls up. Yeah, basically what happens is if the count runs out and you haven't thrown, then you have to surrender all your balls to the other team, so they get all 6, which obviously huge advantage, especially at this level.
So there's a couple questions about how long we've been streaming on Twitch. So Dodgeball and WDBF, so World Dodgeball Federation and Dodgeball Canada, Dodgeball Manitoba, have been streaming on Twitch for about 1.5 years, I think now. Today, if you're wondering how long we've been streaming on Twitch, since about 7 in the morning. So if we sound a little scratchy, it's just because we've been talking a lot.
Scratch, scratch. 5 on 5.
Yeah, on the throw clock. Yep.
They connect.
So, a question about if you're blocking using a ball and the ball gets knocked out of your hand, is that out? The answer to that is yes. It's called a disarm. And if you get disarmed, you are out.
It feels good when you disarm a person because it basically means you threw the ball so hard that they couldn't hold on to it.
Exactly. How'd you Wheaties this morning? Can you catch a ball that bounces off yourself? Yes, you can. Save yourself. Retro thinking Josh Smith wasn't paying attention, trying to take a shot at him, but not able to connect. Wondering how strong the Canadian team is on the international scale. The women's team placed 4th, I believe, at the World's Tournament, and the men's
placed 3rd.
Placed 3rd. Well,
yeah,
bronze.
And they've gotten bronze 2 years in a row, I believe. They have won the national or the World Championships before. It has gotten far more competitive since then. Mm-hmm. They won back probably when there's about 6 teams in the world. Now there's upwards of 15 probably.
Yep, at least. Someone asked, are other teams afraid of me because I can see their matches and strategies? No, I don't think I inspire fear on court. Nice catch by Harder, who then took a hit.
All right.
They're actually, you know what, at this level of play, my strategic understanding of this sport is no more impressive than any other player at the same level. We all are kind of on the same level when it comes to understanding how the sport is played.
Well, speak for yourself, Emily. I mean, come on.
Except for Matt Aber, who's significantly more well-informed than I am.
No. There are people playing in this game who understand the game better than I am, I'm sure, or than I do. There's brilliant dodgeball minds. I know. People.
Yep, definitely.
They have a hard time believing it, but it's a huge brain game.
Strategy is a big thing.
And you're going to see a lot of that next week with the women's game too. I really enjoy watching women because the women's game is a bit more of a chess match.
It's a little bit slower and a lot more strategic.
But it's a lot more strategic, and it's fun to watch because you kind of have to know what you're watching. So once again, we'll try to explain to you, the strategies that are going on. But when you know what's going on, it's a lot of fun to watch. Kind of like curling, where.
Can we be more Canadian?
Well, if you know, curling is the type of game. If you know the strategies, the ins and outs, it's a lot of fun to watch. But if you don't, you're kind of just like, what is this?
So a timeout there to Vengeance. It looks like everybody's just kind of getting their stuff together. Retro is hyping each other up. Oh, it's not a timeout. Something happened. Maybe a net malfunction. The clock has stopped, so there must be something going on. So I'll take this opportunity I'm way behind in questions here. So opening rush. Can you go across the line on the opening rush? That is the only time you can touch a line. You can go across it on the opening rush. Looks like we had an injury there. What happens in the event of a tied game at the end of the clock? We go to overtime. 4-minute overtime. At the end of 4 minutes, someone hasn't won. There's a sudden death. Somebody watching from Sweden. Hi.
Hello.
Sweden. That's awesome.
Welcome, fellow Swede. Well, not fellow Swede. I'm not Swedish.
So someone gets hit and a ball bounces to his ally, but he uses the ball to block the bounce. Is anyone out then? No. That's a great question. Very intricate.
Sorry, what was the question?
So I block the ball towards you, but at the last second you also block the ball?
Yeah, you're good.
We're
good. As long as it doesn't touch touch you.
Does it hurt to get balls to the face? Depends on whose ball.
Yeah. It does for about 5 seconds.
Yeah. They're not these are foam balls.
It kind of just stuns you more than anything.
I've had a black eye, I've had a bloody nose, but at the end of the day, really your adrenaline's pumping pretty hard out there, so you don't really feel it till later.
It hurts you emotionally more than it hurts you physically.
Yes, emotionally.
It hurts your ego.
What happens if you hit multiple people? You're a hero.
Yeah.
A goddamn hero. They are all out, and you get bragging rights because that's a double, sometimes even a triple hit.
Yeah.
And those look really cool.
I have seen a quadruple, but that was the result of 4 different people trying to catch a ball and all of them missing it.
Yeah. Do players wear cups? That's a boy question. I don't.
No.
Well, there you go.
And there's been some some incidents where it might have been beneficial, no question.
Yeah, I've definitely seen some guys fall over with a expression of "I wish I was wearing a cup."
Yeah.
So I would have guessed no. Maybe some people do. I don't
Yeah,
know,
well, yeah, that's not really something people make public. Oh,
A player today apparently claimed he was going to start wearing a cup. That's fine.
it happened again, Emily.
Again?
A round was ended by a line touch.
A line out. Oh, Eric McEwen taking a line out. Sponsorships and questions like that. So yes, some teams have sponsorships. My team has a sponsorship. We have a sponsorship from a local brewery who sponsored us for our jerseys and some of our expenses involving with travel and renting playing space. Has nothing to do with like how good the team is or anything like that. That's just went out and made a phone call that the business was on board with. So yep, you'll see some teams out here with sponsorships. Generally, they'll have them on their jerseys. I can't speak to if any of the men's teams out here are sponsored, but
And we've definitely had sponsorships for individual tournaments.
Yep.
One thing to note, like the Winnipeg Dodgeball community does a lot of charity.
Yeah.
And that's one of the great things about it is they do charity tournaments probably once a month nowadays, I would say almost. People sign up, they pay some money to play in the tournament, and it often goes to various charities. Right, we have a 1-versus-1 tournament coming up, and all the money is going to go towards Australia relief fund for the fires in Australia.
Yep. So we've got Vengeance of Retro in the last final sudden death. You'll notice our players aren't blocking anymore. There's no blocking in sudden death. And this is just for funsies. The game is over, pretty much. We know Retro's taking this win. So we're going to finish this out in the round. It's going to finish out in sudden death until there's no players left on one team or the other. Both of these teams should feel really, really proud of the way they've played today. Vengeance particularly has come a lot farther than they anticipated. I'm sure that they anticipated that they would.
Yeah.
Taking out some teams that thought that they would probably be able to.
And I think even Retro's done better than they maybe anticipated as well. You know, it was kind of a bit of a surprise to see Impact go out in the quarterfinals.
Yep.
That was an upset.
Right there, a nice tag on Trudell. 2v1. Seeing if Vengeance can close this out against Harder. Harder taking a shot and a catch, staying in bounds, bringing Oko back in, and Oko's been a big help.
Yeah, Kevin Harder catches balls all the time, but he never makes it look easy. He always
definitely looking really good. Retro shuts it down, taking Marcostas out for a final score of 6-2 in this bronze medal game, which means Retro's taking home the bronze in this tournament. And thanks for sticking with us all of this time. Finally, after a very long day, we're happy to tell you that we are ready, teed up and excited for the gold medal game, YWG versus Monstars. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with you for our gold medal game in a couple minutes.